Hello everyone, Brendon Snyder here. How are you? Today we're going to take a look at a new Billy Corgan solo album. Billy Corgan, being the frontman of the Smashing Pumpkins, released Cotillions physically on CD on January 31st, this past Friday. But it actually came out back in late 2019 digitally. This is just the first time it's coming out in physical format, so having recently picked up the copy of it here, I wanted to do a quick review of this for you guys. Now, Billy Corgan, being, as I said, the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins and the predominant songwriter of it, he has done solo albums in the past, Cotillions being his third. Back in 2005, he did the Future Embrace album, which was more of a electronica type album, very different from the Smashing Pumpkins sound. So then in 2017, when he first did the next one, Augilia, you know, this one here was a much more sparse piano and acoustic with no drums kind of an affair. So again, something very different than the Smashing Pumpkins. And now that's what he's continuing here on Cotillions. This one is being referred to as a double album by him. It's 17 tracks long and 62 minutes, so it does fit on a single CD, but he has laid it out as sides A, B, C, and D, so as a double album would be. Now, sort of the overview of this, as I said, is an all acoustic album with no drums on it. And amazingly, though, it doesn't sound like it's missing anything not having drums in it. He does use different instrumentation here. There's pedal steel guitar, there is a fiddle player on it. And so stylistically, it is different than the Pumpkins, yet Corgan sounds very comfortable in this sort of new role that he has taken on. And does have his trademark vocals as part of it with orchestral elements. So again, very reminiscent of some Smashing Pumpkins stuff that like we've heard, especially on Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. There's the different musical genres like folk and country here, and people are referring to this as like a Billy Corgan country album. I'm a little hesitant to call it that myself, as there's certainly tracks that have the flavor of a folk song or a country song, especially with fiddle and pedal steel on it, but I'm not hearing the overall album sounding as a country album. There's a lot of elements that sound very stylistic in the Smashing Pumpkins sort. So the other thing in this is that there's some very prominent female vocals, sometimes background, but other times almost like a co-lead vocal on tracks. And there's a call and response style singing where he'll sing something and then the female backing vocalist will return the line to him, sort of a thing. But much more prominent on this than in other solo material that he has done. Each track has a very nice flow to it. Stylistically, from one to the next on here, you'll have some fast pace or up-tempo songs, some sparse songs, some mellower songs, but the way that it flows very much works like an album should, and it's got the ebbs and flows and high points, low points, that sort of stuff to it. Now, there's some minimal sort of cons to this album, in my opinion, which are the songs are on a shorter side. Good part of that being you don't really have a chance to get, say, bored with the song or something, because it moves pretty quickly. But on that side, sometimes you don't have a chance to really fully get invested before the song is over. And as I said, there are 17 tracks on this album, and with it being that long on a full album without actually having a disc to take out and put back in and choosing which of the double albums, so to speak, I want to listen to, the way like Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness is, I can choose the second disc to put in and start things with, as opposed to starting with the beginning of it. So sometimes, in my opinion, it gets a little repetitious with 17 straight tracks of that. Can lose a little bit of interest before I get all the way through to the end of it. And so there's that side of things, and maybe the only other sort of negativity to it would be the sort of very sparse packaging of this album. It's extremely tiny print for the track listings and things of that. It's a black and white. There's no booklet involved in it, and again, really tiny printing again. Not a lot of information to what this is, so very sparse, but I get it. You know, today with everything being streaming, probably not a lot of people are going to be buying the physical copy the way that I did, so why spend the money on that sort of packaging and a booklet if it really isn't going to sell or isn't necessary, it's not with the streaming. There's no booklets, obviously, with those sort of things. Let me cover a few of the tracks here that I found interesting that I'd like to point out on it. I think the opening number on here, which is called To Scatter One's Own, is a pretty good track. It uses the pedal steel, and it creates a very ethereal feel to it and a bit of mystery maybe with it, which is good, I think, in evoking what the song is about, this declaration of love. So I really enjoyed that one. The second track on here was another really good one called Hard Times. Also uses the pedal steel, and this one has a co-lead vocal, female vocal on it. It's got definite elements of country are brought through on that track. And in that case, evoking what the song is about, which is the Depression era times. The third track called Jubilee was another one that I really enjoyed, which uses both pedal steel and fiddle on it. Certainly evoking the elements of folk here. It's probably the most folk sounding song on the album, but definitely comes across very well in use of his vocal style and play between that on here. Another really great track is the fifth song, title track on here, called Cotillions. It's a piano-based song, and it's beautiful, haunting background vocals that are part of that track, which really just hit me right. Number 6, Faithless Darling, is a layered acoustic guitar, and what I like about it is there's a strumming and there's a guitar picking portion, and the way that it's layered together is quite interesting. There's also piano that is on that is paired with the two types of guitar, and the harmonizing background vocals on it are really great. Number 9 on here, called Buffalo Boys, which is a prominent fiddle part and co-lead vocal part, but it's got a really cool Rolling Stones type feel to the song, and it's an interesting one that should be checked out. Number 14 on here, Apologia, is a cool guitar strummed, or the guitar is strummed in like a double time sort of feel to it, compared to the vocals, which are in a much slower pace to it. So I like that play between the faster strummed guitar but the slower sung vocals, as opposed to them being in the same rhythm. And the last one I wanted to point out on here was track number 15, Natulius, which the reason I brought that up is that title was actually being used for the Pisces Icariot album, the B-Sides collection of Smashing Pumpkins, before it was eventually dropped and changed. But this title's been kicked around for a long time in the Smashing Pumpkins world before finally turning up here as a track. So don't know whether there was ever a Smashing Pumpkins version of this song or another song that was titled this, or it was just a title that he liked. But it does finally turn up here on this solo album for him. And it's a fiddle and pedal steel song also, but very quite sparse sounding in the way that it's done, and much slower than the other songs on the album. And it's a really great track that should be checked out. So as I said, 17 tracks on here. It explores the folk and country elements. It's definitely got the feel of the heartland of America kind of sound to it, which is where it's getting that idea of the Billy Corgan country. So I was sort of, if I'd refer to this, I'd call it Corgan country, as opposed to just like a straight country sounding record, because it's got definite elements that we know and love of Billy Corgan and the Smashing Pumpkins here. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.